GLAM, Los Angeles.
What is the pretty person problem?
Okay, so
Your problem.
get your problem.
Your problem.
Your problem.
Your problem. It's coming,
No.
so you better
Shut
be
up.
committing
Okay.
this to memory.
So the pretty person problem, according to the story in Grazia, is what happens when you are genetically blessed, you're pretty all your life, and then suddenly you start to see fine lines and wrinkles, gray hairs, things start to sag, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be hot all the time. So then you are more likely to seek out treatments, whether that is, an injectable, maybe it's a partial or a full facelift. You're just going ham. You're starting to go ham, and in order to maintain the hotness level that you are used to. And then it becomes like a problem because you're obsessed. And
Right.
it can also turn you into someone that you don't look like.
Wow. I mean, they talked about beauty fading when we were younger, and we thought, we
Right?
don't have to worry about that. And now, I mean, I remember when I was younger thinking, when I was being told, at the time it wasn't as prevalent of a conversation,
Right.
but tanning beds.
Yeah.
I said, if anything happens, there will be something figured out by the time I need it.
Wow.
I want to be tan.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to be
Yeah.
tan like Britney Spears.
Right.
I want to look hot.
Right. You feel like you're invincible when you're young.
Then you get into your 30s and you're like, oh, wow, I have spots on my face because of this tanning bed that are now starting to come forward because my skin is thinning. I'm losing collagen.
Yeah.
And by the way, they haven't found a
No,
thing to
no.
figure this out yet.
No.
The
We're
substance
still waiting.
has not, the substance does not exist. And I think this is a really interesting story because you posted this in our shared note, and I was looking at it. I can't read it because I don't subscribe to Apple News. Sorry, Apple News. But then it started making me think of the movie The Substance,
Yes.
which I have not seen yet.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm like wondering if I can handle it.
It's a body horror.
Yes.
So if you know anything about horror movies, there are specific genres. Body horror is grotesque in how it proliferates on screen.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle this because
Same.
I love horror movies, but anything
Yeah.
like even like somebody getting stabbed in a movie, I'm
Right.
like holding
Yeah.
myself. I really can't handle it.
And
but
this movie, it has Demi Moore.
Demi Moore.
Sorry, excuse me.
Demi
Moore. And then Margaret Qualley.
Margaret Qualley, Demi Moore, and essentially
Dennis Quaid.
it's Dennis Quaid. But do you know Jack Quaid? His son is so fine
Yes.
with Meg Ryan.
Totally.
Like,
it's like
he looks like Joshua Jackson's younger brother.
yes. And then he like looks like Meg Ryan, but then you're like, oh wait, no, you're
No,
Quaid.
you're so a Quaid.
Yeah, totally.
Jack Quaid. Call
Where?
me. I want to meet your mom.
No, truly.
We want to meet your
We
mom.
wanna meet your mom.
It's Meg Ryan Fall.
Yeah.
So in The Substance, if you are not familiar with this film, Demi Moore is an aging starlet.
She used to teach like an aerobics class or
Yeah,
something.
she was something sparkle. I can't
Yeah.
remember. Margaret Qualley is the younger version of her, but with a twist.
Okay.
And the whole movie revolves around this thing called The Substance. And it essentially is a commentary on like what lengths will we
Yes.
go to
Yep.
to look younger. I can't wait to actually see it, to see how it plays out on screen and if they hit the nail on the head or not.
Right.
But
it's getting good reviews, yeah?
it's getting really good reviews. A lot of people are saying this is Demi's
Oh.
Oscar
Okay.
moment.
Did you win
which
an Oscar for a horror movie?
I hope so. I feel like you should be able to win an Oscar for a comedy.
Right.
If you can win an Oscar for a musical, then you should be able to win for a slapstick comedy. And you
Yes.
should be able to win for a horror movie.
Totally.
Neve Campbell should have an Oscar for Scream.
Honestly, acting in horror movies, that's like some of the hardest acting.
Yeah, because you're not actually scared.
Right.
And you're not actually getting stabbed or killed.
It's so physical. And
You've
then,
never been killed before, so
Yeah.
how do you know what that's
and
like?
you have to be like crying. Yeah, it's like a lot. You're right. She should. Well, I haven't seen it, but I think I'll I'll wait to like watch it at home so I can like shield my eyes.
And like take a break if you need to.
Exactly.
I want to go see it in the theater. I'm a very big proponent of the theater experience. I want the community. I want to feel something.
Very
but
Nicole
a lot
Kidman
of people
of you.
have been DMing me because they know that I cover this stuff.
Right.
And I really want to cover it for my column on
It
Allure.
feels very you.
Yes.
This movie.
But I just haven't. I wasn't able to make any of the screenings.
You need to be in the right mind space.
Right. And then asking someone to go with me, I'm like, I'm going to go see this alone.
No.
And then everyone's saying, I can't wait to hear your commentary because I've never heard a theater so quiet after the movie ends. Like people are just like
looking inward.
Yeah. Like, what did we just experience?
Also watching it in LA.
Yeah, where everyone's like getting nip tucked. And I wonder if for Demi, I mean, I've been seeing some interviews with her, and there were some rumors that in the past few years she's gotten a facelift.
Yeah.
That's not like news that I'm breaking or anything. And I don't know if she's actually had one. She does look great, but she looks different than she has in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it was kind of a meta experience for her to be in this film as an aging starlet.
Right.
And then being faced with your younger counterpart who is Margaret Qualley.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
I'm really interested to see this film. But anyways, the pretty person problem. It must be really harder for, it must be harder for the really pretty people, you know?
Well, especially if you're like a pretty
you always
person.
loved your looks and you got by on your looks and you were able to achieve things because of your looks, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I'm not getting the second glance.
Yeah, especially if you're in the public eye. Or, you're a model. Like, you're making your money off of your moneymaker. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, my God, I'm old. Like, what do I do?
I'm not being as seen as some other people.
Yeah.
But this brings me to a somewhat related topic, which is not exactly on the nose, but I just want to come out in defense of J-Lo real quick. Now, do I think she used olive oil as a child? Absolutely not. I don't believe that story for a bit. But I do think when people are like, J-Lo's a liar, she has gotten Botox, she has gotten this, she has gotten that, I implore you to find paparazzi unedited photos of this woman. She's got dark circles, lines and wrinkles. She looks 52 years old or whatever age she is now.
Yeah.
The reason why people do not believe that she's never had these things done is because of how edited her photos are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody does it in Hollywood. I know for a fact, so I don't blame her for doing it. But I do think if she was like, why are people saying that I'm doing this when I'm actually not? It's because of the photos.
Yeah.
I've just been hearing a lot more about J-Lo recently.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like she's just been in the news all year this year. But that is my one hill I will die on.
Yeah.
That I do not think that maybe she's tried them.
Yeah.
But I don't think she uses neuromodulators. I think she eats well. She has a private chef.
God, yeah.
She works out all the time. She has the privilege of being rich and famous and has all these things that are accessible to her to keep her less stressed and looking good. But
it's like her lifestyle. It's also like it's her career. It's her like that's what she's known for, right?
Totally.
So obviously she's going to be like dedicated to making sure she looks good. But I do agree with you. I've seen pictures of her and she very much just looks like a 50-something woman who takes care of herself. I would hope that I could look like her when I'm 50 whatever, you know?
Your nails are distracting me because they're so good.
Thanks.
They're so good.
It's like
Sarah's
supposed to be
nails
like
look
all
incredible.
I heard it was like olive green fall and I put a little chrome on it.
I'm really
It's a little spooky.
No, I love them. They look so good.
Thanks.
Okay, and actually somewhat related to this topic, which I said we would cover deeper on another episode when I was talking to Sarah beforehand, but we might as well just get into some of it. So we went on this press trip with Renutrieve, which is an Estée Lauder brand. This is a prestige brand. It's really, really nice. I had never tried the products before.
Same, and I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. It's truly, truly luxury, but I loved the like texture, the smell, and like the science behind the technology in these skincare products are like mind-blowing.
Well, yes. And I would say that we get invited on a lot of trips, but I think that this was probably, in terms of education, the best trip we've ever been on, or I've been on. I don't want to speak for you, but in terms of what we were learning about aging and not only lifespan, but health span.
Yeah.
So we were flown up to Palo Alto, and we went to Stanford. They have
It was a dream.
No, it was incredible.
I was like, Mom and Dad, are you proud of me now?
First time at Stanford. First and last time at Stanford. But they have a center for, what is it?
Longevity. So
Longevity.
it's the Stanford Longevity Institute.
And it was awesome. There was this amazing panel with a bunch of different types of doctors. A traditional doctor, a neurologist, a dermatologist, and they were talking about how people are not only is like the general population increasing our lifespan. In the past millennium, we have increased our lifespan double.
Right. So they said that now the average 5-year-old has a 50% chance of living to 100.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
And at the beginning of the 1900s, I think the lifespan was maybe 48 or something. Yeah. And then now it's 70 something. But prior to this, in all of millennia, it was, 16 and then 30 something. So this is the first century, rather, not millennium, first century, rather. From 1900 to 2000, where we have seen a significant change in how long our lives are, which is attributed to a variety of things. Like the infant mortality rate is down because of things like vaccines. Electricity was developed.
Refrigeration.
So refrigeration is here, so we're not getting foodborne illnesses, which are killing a lot of parents and children.
Garbage truck.
Garbage
sanitation
systems.
Yes, sanitation systems, which you you take for granted.
Totally.
You take for granted, but that helped a lot of illnesses and sicknesses to disappear.
Yep. And so we have all of these inventions and all of this forward thinking technology. So they were like, in 6 years, millennials will turn 50. The first millennials will turn 50. And there's a high chance that some of us will live to be 100. So then the question was, do you want to live to 100?
Yeah. And honestly, the room was maybe 10 or less. And there were probably how many of us? 50, 60 people?
I think there was maybe closer to 100 because there were people from all over the world in this room.
I'm bad at numbers. But yeah, it was a very small amount of people who raised their hand of people who wanted to live to 100. But then they were like, okay, what if we said you could live to 100 but you were mentally strong, you looked good, physically great, you weren't you weren't struggling in any way, you were a strong 100-year-old person. And then everyone's hands raised. I mean, Kirbie and I were still wow, 100's a lot.
I'm like, 100's a lot. But then also I was telling Sarah this at the dinner, but I haven't met the love of my life. If I meet that person in 5 years, I want to be able, why am I crying about this? I want to be able to live to 100 with him. So,
having kids, you want to be with your kids for as long as you can.
And they were saying that also with your parents, you can help them.
Yeah.
Have longevity, which is music to my ears.
Right.
I don't know why I got emotional about that. Hold on, give me a second. Anyways, it was the most incredible conversation. And I was asking all these questions of the dermatologist, how does, one of the things that they were talking about was that socialization is a huge, being a part of a community is a big part of this. If you want to have a good health span, so not just longevity in your life, but active, healthy lifestyle. Yeah. If you want to have a good health span, you need to feel like you're a part of a community.
Right. Which is why, so there's a show on Netflix called Blue Zones. I can't remember what it is. A lot of you have probably watched it. And they go to all these different blue zones, which at the Stanford Longevity Institute, and Estée Lauder, they have gone to Costa Rica. I'm not sure if they've been to Okinawa yet. There's
they went to Loma Linda.
Loma Linda, which is close to us. Sardinia in Italy, all of these blue zones. And there were several, common denominators, but one of them, which Kirbie is referring to, is the strength of community and friends. And that's why so many people who are part of religion or a church live longer lives because they have these built-in friendships and a purpose, which in Loma Linda, that is attributed to the Seventh-day Adventists. So that's why they have this built-in community, but also they value and prioritize health and exercising. They're playing pickleball with each other. They're eating vegetables.
Yeah, they're active.
They're active, and then they have their Bible studies and things like that.
Yeah. If community is such a big part of this and interaction with other people is a big part of this, have there been studies about how screens are affecting our younger generations?
Which is a great question.
Because there's a lot of talk about Gen Alpha and Gen Z, on the younger side of Gen Z, being isolated, not having socialization, not really understanding how to interact, having a lot more social anxiety than we ever had.
Yeah.
And they said that there's not obviously a ton of research on that yet, but surely it will contribute to their lifespan potentially, even if they have all these other things in their favor.
Yeah.
If you don't have this thing, it could potentially be a detriment.
Right, because I think there is a difference between like online community versus like in-person, real, tangible friendships.
Oh, 100%, because when we go to events and we meet some of these influencers whose entire life is played out on the internet, they don't know how to talk in person.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to carry a conversation. They don't, or maybe they just don't want to.
Right.
They're insecure or they're nervous. And I'm not saying that as a diss in any way, but what I'm saying is that it's definitely different than how we grew up, where
Right.
we were like forced into uncomfortable situations a lot of time. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, do kids don't even go to school dances anymore and have
Yeah.
to like worry about a guy asking them to
Oh my
dance or
gosh.
not, or asking a guy to dance, or a
Yeah.
guy asking somebody else to dance? You know what I mean?
Matt talks about that all the time with Zoe and Kid. He's like, I want to put them in uncomfortable situations, because I feel like, to your point, like this generation, it's like, oh, you don't want to do that? You don't want to go? That's okay. We don't have to do that. It's like the whole like gentle parenting thing. And it's like, no, we have to hang out with this extended family that you have never met, and you need to sit with them at this meal and like
Learn
hang
to have
out.
a conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
And sure, Sarah and I go to dinners and we're like, can we move name tags so we can sit next to each other? Because I just don't want to have to force a conversation for 30 minutes with somebody I don't know very well, right?
But that's also community.
And it's also networking. It's figuring it out.
Right.
But it's funny. I feel like we keep jumping to different topics,
Yeah.
but this reminds me of a TikTok I saw about a 5th grade teacher, and he's like, I'm going to tell y'all if your kid is ready for 5th grade or not, just straight up.
Yeah.
And I was appalled at the things he was saying. He was like, if your kid cannot spell their first name
Oh my God.
without being reminded, like automatically,
Right.
without any help.
Right.
And I'm like, we have kids in 5th grade that don't know how to do this.
I mean, that's a whole nother conversation about our education system.
And
as
all
well.
of the comments were literally other teachers going, the no kid left behind mentality has really screwed a lot of these kids because they do not know. He's like, if you have kids doing basic math and they can't do it without counting on their fingers, they should not be in 5th grade.
Jeez.
And I'm like, this is scary.
Yeah.
This is scary times.
Oh, okay. So back to the longevity of it all.
Back to the longevity.
I just want to comment on the fact that like Kirbie and I have been on so many press trips, and they've all been so lovely, right?
Yes.
Like we're very privileged, very grateful to be a part of it. But there was something very special and different about this, especially because it was tied to a very expensive skincare line, but it wasn't their focus to talk so much. Like we learned about the product for like an hour, and we had like a facial with some of the products, but they weren't like, like this is like the trip wasn't all around like the product launch. It was more focused on like the other ways that we could improve our lives and live healthier, happier, longer lives together.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciated that, because I felt like it was like, oh yeah, I want to do it all. I want my skin to look great when I'm now 30. We're almost 38.
I know.
But I just want to feel good, because like what's the point if I look good but I don't feel good inside, and if I'm not surrounded by my loved ones? So
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that we went to that, and it was really, really cool to also be, I feel like, surrounded by, it was a lot of influencers, but it was and like you said, a lot of global influencers too. So there were people from China, there were people from Spain, and it was like we all got together and we had like the same purpose.
And also it was everyone our age.
Yes.
Or older.
That too. Oh, that was nice.
It was really nice seeing them. I mean, because these products are meant for pro-aging.
Yes.
Or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very refreshing to not see Alex Earl on a trip about pro-aging.
Right,
You know,
right.
like we respected that they picked the right people. And there were some of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life who had gray hair, lines and wrinkles. And I said, okay, like this is the example that we needed to be setting for people.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God. Their ambassador,
Nia.
Nia Long. I mean, Google her if you don't know what she looks like right now. She looks insane. So good. But Caroline Murphy. Oh my God.
51 years old. Stunning woman. I mean,
Like,
model.
like a pretty person problem.
Genetically gorgeous.
Yeah. But she looks like, again, like J-Lo, where you're like, that's what I want to look like when I'm 50.
Totally. And sometimes, we go on these press trips and they give us products and it's like, okay, we use them on the trip and then we're kind of like, whatever. I'm using these products
Yes.
day and night. Like I am really curious to see how they work. Maybe on a later episode, we'll get into deeper about like the science behind this particular brand and like the proprietary ingredient. But I agree, they weren't shoving that down our throat like this is the only way to longevity. But they are launching a new product in January that we're really excited to test and try, because if it is as game changing as they say, it will be a game changer and it would be worth every single penny in my opinion.
Totally.
That being said, have loved the products, loved even Dr. Lax. He was saying during the conversation about, longevity and health span, he was like, I also think beauty is a part of it, because when you feel good about yourself, you're more inclined to want to go and do other things and
make friends
and be out with people.
Yeah, be active. When you have a cute new, like he was saying, like an outfit, you're like more likely to want to work out. And you're like, yeah, that's actually true.
Yeah, so I thought that they did a good job of bringing it back to like the beauty connection, but I also really appreciated that they weren't like, and then we have this proprietary whatever that's gonna make you younger for 30 years.
Totally.
Like, what are you talking about?
But I do really like the products a lot.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about them. Just a quick little admin housekeeping something or another. We're only gonna have one episode this week. We may be having one episode weeks moving forward. There's some scheduling stuff.
We're trying to make the biggest, best content episodes for you guys, and it takes a lot of work.
Yes, and I find that sometimes we get messages about, oh, I'm behind, or oh, I didn't listen to this one or whatever, and we're thinking, especially with our schedules, maybe we go to one episode a week. So maybe this week we have the two of us, but maybe next week we have a guest, and then the following week the two of us, and then the next week a guest. We don't know. Maybe some weeks we'll go back to 2 episodes a week. If anybody's really passionate about 2 episodes a week, please Slack us or DM us or something. But I think that it might actually be more beneficial to just present everything in one kind of mega episode each week and go from there. But especially this week, we just don't have the scheduling down. Like, our schedules are crazy, so we can only do one episode this week. Sarah, there is a new makeup technique hot on the TikTok town. This video has gone mega viral, and it came up on my specific For You page, and I thought, what the hell are we talking about here? Because I do not understand this.
You sent it to me, and I watched it for approximately I watched most of it, and then I was like, I don't know what I just watched. I'm so confused.
So there is a makeup artist on TikTok. Her name is Aliénor. She's so French.
Yeah, she's very French.
This video that went viral is essentially about how once you figure out what contrast you are, it completely changes your makeup strategy. So she made a filter on TikTok where you can figure out what contrast you are. You first have to pick, are you light, medium, or deep skin tone? I put light, Sarah put medium. And then from there, you can click low, medium, or high contrast to see which one you embody the best. So we're both trying this right now on our phones.
Very, though, interpretive.
This is the thing that's confusing about it, because I could say, if I'm looking at this, I could go, you know what? I could be a medium contrast. But then I'm also looking at low contrast, and I have a lighter eye, and I have a lighter eyebrow, which is very much in harmony with low contrast.
Right.
But then I'm looking at medium contrast, and I have darker hair. I would say that my eyebrow is darker than, it's a more deep brow. So I don't know. It's very confusing. So this is how she explains it. She says that Taylor Swift is low contrast. She has more harmonious features. Her brows, her eyes are not darker than her hair. Everything is in harmony on her face. So she has more softer features. When you have mid contrast, she uses Emma Watson as an example. Very deep, bold brows, dark eyes, and then sometimes a lighter color hair. And then the high contrast is Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway has dark eyes, dark hair, and dark eyebrows. Yeah. And she says that you have high contrast when you can see mostly dark or mostly light, depending on which one's more prominent. So she has super fair skin, but then these really dark features. I feel like you have low contrast or mid contrast.
Yeah.
Because you have a mid skin tone, a medium skin
Yeah.
tone. Your brows are dark, but not super dark.
Right.
You have dark eyes.
Yeah.
And then you have dark hair.
Yeah. I feel like that's probably me too. But then it's like when you're using the app, I'm like, I could technically be, I could be high sometimes. Or also I'm like, am I medium or am I light skin tone level? And then I also wonder for deep, like if you have very deep skin, I'm confused about how it differs from low to medium to high.
Yeah. Because then it's like, is it because if you have like blonde hair,
Yeah.
are you high contrast?
Right. But then, and
If
then you're
you-
like bleaching your brows.
Yeah. Or then if you have like a deep skin tone with lighter eyes and dark hair, is that mid or high contrast?
Right.
It's very confusing. I mean, I'm looking right now and I feel like the one that aligns with me, if I'm looking at it right now, is low contrast. And honestly, she has a whole,
Low. Are you light and low contrast?
yeah. And she has a whole playlist.
So you're like Taylor Swift.
But I don't think I'm like Taylor Swift because I feel like I do have light eyes, but I have like a really bold, dark.
Even when you don't do your brows.
When I don't do my brows, my brow is darker.
Yeah. And you are a brunette. Like you have darker hair.
But then
what-
it's like maybe, and I also have fair skin. Like even though
Yeah.
I really want to be medium, I'm like a fair skin. I was thinking about this today. I'm like maybe I should be looking in the fair skin makeup versus like the light skin makeup. You know?
there's also preference, right? It's like, how do you want, like, if you're more drawn to like bolder, deeper colors, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be wearing them. Or like you said, like you like to do a lip
Like
and
she says,
balances.
this is low contrast. So she uses a bunch of different, if you guys can see that, this is low contrast. She uses a few people, like one is fair skinned, one is light skinned, one is medium, and then one is dark. I guess I can see how it's like all harmonious. Like her skin
Yeah.
is brown, her eyes are brown, her lips are brown, her hair is brown.
Okay.
That's low contrast.
Okay.
Her hair is blonde, her eyebrows are blonde, her eyes are blue, her skin is fair.
Okay.
But then like I see this and I'm like, this feels
That doesn't seem low contrast to
no,
me.
I see a girl with bold brows and
Right.
blue eyes and blonde hair, and I'm like, that's
Right.
mid to high contrast.
Yeah. Wait, pull it up again. Yeah, her eyebrows seem very dark.
I really want Eleanor to tell me personally, what contrast am I? Because I'm like, so based on your contrast, she tells you how you should be doing your makeup.
Right.
So for instance, Emma Watson, medium contrast.
Yeah.
She says that when Emma does a nude lip, it washes her out. She needs some type of color on her lip. It doesn't have to be bold red, but
Yeah.
it has to be something like a flush of pink, a
Right.
flush of peach, a flush of peach or pink on her cheeks. And then her eyes can be really played up because those are like a bolder part of her face anyways. And to her credit, she's right. She
Yeah.
looks better with something on her lips in
Right.
that way.
Feel that way about, because I'm like just finished watching Emily in Paris, Lily Collins. I saw her doing a press tour and she was wearing a lighter lip and I was like, I don't like that on her.
Yeah, because she's high contrast.
Yeah. Like
So okay, now we're getting it.
Yeah.
She's high contrast.
because she's got
darker hair,
dark hair,
dark-
very like dark brows, very, very light skin.
Yep.
And like always on Emily in Paris, she's always wearing like a bold lip, right?
Yes.
And then the one time on the press tour, I saw her wearing something a little bit more nude. I didn't like it.
Yeah, she went as Priscilla Presley one year to
Oh,
the
yes.
Met during, I think, camp. And that was the only time I liked her in a light lip.
Yeah.
Because she was
like
playing
camp.
a part.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're very confused over here. Apparently, this is a really great way to figure out what type of makeup you should use. I was looking at mid contrast, but maybe I need to be looking at low contrast.
I also need more examples for like deeper skin tones because I feel like I don't understand it for the deeper skin tones, how it helps them.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, what's Beyonce?
Is she more
She seems
light,
mid
low
to me.
Or is she low because when she's blonde,
Brown hair, blonde. Yeah.
it's like all
it's
one.
harmonious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think
And she often wears like a natural like nude lip.
true. And I really like her as a blonde.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, she's been blonde forever.
Right.
It is weird when you see her as a brunette.
Yeah,
It doesn't it feels like it doesn't fit
no.
almost.
Yeah, it does not feel good.
So we love you as a blonde beat. So yeah, really crazy. If you have any thoughts on the contrast theory, is this just like another thing to get something to go viral? I mean, no, this is a professional. She's a professional makeup artist.
No. She
Obviously,
gets
this
what
works.
she's doing. Yeah.
I think this is something professional makeup artists can benefit from.
Yes.
But maybe not the general public.
Yeah, I don't.
Figuring it out.
My brain hurts.
Same.
My brain hurts.
All right, the time has come. It is Sara Tan's Miscontinued time.
Okay. I wrote notes because I didn't want to miss anything.
Speak to the brand.
Okay. So, dear Ashley and Mary Kate Olsen, what have you been up to? Besides hanging out at the Ritz in Paris. I think about Elizabeth and James a lot. I was a huge fan. I've always been like a huge fan of the Olsen twins. I think a lot of us are as millennial women. But when they came out with Elizabeth and James, specifically the fragrances in 2013, that's all I wore. That's literally all I wore from 2013 until I looked it up. They ended in 2020. And I recently, I'm trying to be more like organized and like purging things because I just have too much. I threw it away. I should have kept it. I know. I hope that I like put it in like a pile that it was like, you know, the maybes. But I was wearing it still. So they had Nirvana white perfume. They also had a black version, like a deeper version, but I very much was Nirvana white. It was, I think, the first time I ever like really truly connected with a perfume, and I was like, this is my signature perfume. Like, I think I probably wore it on my wedding day. It's very much me. It's like fresh, clean, floral, but it had a little bit of like a musk to it. I feel like they were ahead of their time because I feel like there's a lot of perfumes that exist now that are that balance of like it's still it's feminine but it has a little bit of masculinity to it, and that was what I really liked about this perfume. Like it felt sexy, but it was still kind of like clean and bright. So they had like peony, lily of the valley, musk, and I could wear it during the day, but at night I would like add a little bit more. They also made the dry shampoo, which I think I turned my sister onto this. She still purchases the dry shampoo off of like eBay and uses it. I'm like,
well, it's a dry shampoo. I feel like she can maybe.
But she's like you're walking in the cloud of Elizabeth and James. I feel like I'm like, maybe it's not good for your lungs. But as a family, I guess we're obsessed. It came in such a beautiful bottle. It was like white with gold accent. It came in like different sizes. It was very elegant. It felt very premium, but it was still like kind of affordable. Like it wasn't that expensive. I remember being able to purchase it as like it was like my first, or out of college, my first job, and I could like buy it at Sephora. I'm pretty sure, yeah, you could buy it at Sephora. I remember going into Sephora and always being like spraying it. And then in 2020, it just went away. They didn't even say goodbye. They literally just like, they're like, oh, we're done with this and we're going to focus on the row, I think. And then that was it. The Instagram still exists. The Olsens were, ahead of their game. Celebrity beauty brand before everyone was doing it. And then when everyone started doing it, they're like, actually, we don't want to do it anymore. And I'm sad. And I really wish that they would bring it back with the dry shampoo. The whole thing. I think that they could have a revival and they could like expand into like makeup and body and all the things.
Wow. Do you think that this will happen for the Row, under the Row banner?
I feel like if it were to happen, it would have happened already.
Okay.
I feel like they just are so focused on, they're like fashion girls, like deep in their hearts and their souls. But maybe, I wouldn't mind. If they brought it back through the Row, I'd be fine with it. But Elizabeth and James, it was just like, Elizabeth and James also had apparel. They also had other things outside of beauty. But I miss it a lot. I posted about it recently once, and like so many people messaged me and were like, oh my God, I miss that. I miss that so much. Bevan from Full Picture.
You know someone, Bevan.
Yeah, you could do it, Bevan.
Bevan, someone somewhere is whispering Bevan's name in a room to get a brand made.
But yeah, did you ever use their products?
I didn't.
You didn't?
I did not. I was not an Elizabeth and James girly. I know. I had them, and I remember just being like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I
don't think they ever did like press for it. They didn't need to.
I would get the packages. They were fine, but I often gave them away as gifts. It was fine.
It's fine.
It was fine.
It's not you.
It was a little too refined for my palate. I was a Britney Spears curious wearer for a very long time.
But not in like 2013. You were probably wearing something else.
Maybe Dolce & Gabbana.
Yeah.
I know that's like a 4-letter word now, but I was wearing this Dolce & Gabbana perfume, which smelled incredible.
Did they still make it?
I don't think they still make it. It was very beautiful. It had neroli in it. I very much became
wow.
addicted to neroli Portofino like pretty quick.
That was your time. Yeah.
But I think I was wearing Britney Spears Curious for
What did that smell like?
a baby prostitute.
Yeah.
It was very much
Sweet.
sweet.
It was Sol de Janeiro before
Yes.
Sol de Janeiro.
Yeah, like my Love Spell,
Yeah.
like the fragrance version of Love Spell.
She should bring
essentially.
it back.
I think is it still
Oh, is it
around?
still
I mean,
around?
she still has her fragrances, I believe. I still have bottles of them.
Do you think she still makes money off of it?
I hope so.
I hope so.
And she deserves every cent.
Yeah, she really does. So if anyone if they're seeing Mary-Kate or Ashley anytime soon, just bring this up. That'd be much appreciated.
And with that, we are wrapping Miscontinued for this month. But we will have more. And we want to know, what are your miscontinueds? Is there a fragrance that you wish would be revived from the dead?
A facial polish.
A facial polish, a pressed powder, a brand altogether.
I brought another one, but we'll talk about it another time.